traveling right now, Stephen. I'm in Los Angeles and I'm working and I'm doing press. And so I've just been everywhere, and COVID is still happening in Toronto. That's where I spend most of my time. And everything is still locked down. So I've yet to get a new laptop. I've yet to get new AirPods. These AirPods are actually from production. So I'm just a hot mess technically. All good though.
I'm also in Los Angeles, and I'm going to tell you something that I've learned over the last, I'd say, year or two. There are these things called websites, and they sell technological products like computers and other things. In fact, I even just bought an iPhone for the first time last night on a website called Apple.
That's funny. I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have never bought anything online in my entire life. I've never done that before in my entire life. Yeah, man. I'm an old school person in the sense I like to go to the malls. But that being said, I hear you and noted, and definitely I gotta go online and use the thing called the internet and go on the site called Apple and make my orders.
How have you made it this far without ordering anything online?
Reading a lot of books, man. That's it. Just reading a lot of books. Watching a lot of movies. You don't need anything online for those. And you order pizza. Pizza, you just call, and pizza comes to the house, and we chill. I like man caves. I got a beautiful man cave, so I gotta hang out there. That's it.
No, totally. So first of all, nice to talk to you again. Thanks for doing this morning. Since we have a little bit more time, I have a few different questions that I can ask, which I ask a lot of people when I have more than 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And these first two questions I ask of everyone during the pandemic. What TV series would you love to guest star on?
Oh, that's a great question. And I enjoyed talking to you last time. That's why I woke up this morning for this. I really had a good time with you. So thank you. Which TV series I'd want to guest star on?
Yes.
I think the topical answer should be Bridgerton, because it's the most hottest show on television, but I don't want to guest star on Bridgerton. No disrespect to Shonda or anybody on that show. It's just my girl watches that show. She loves that show. But for me, I've been watching right now for a lot of research for something else I'm producing is Top Boy. I would love to be in Top Boy. For Netflix, I think Top Boy is super dope. That's a really interesting TV series that I'd love to guest star in. And yeah, at Schitt's Creek. As a Canadian, I want to get to Schitt's Creek, but they're done. So I think that I've missed that boat. But Schitt's Creek and Top Boy are my two choices.
What movie or movies do you think you've seen the most?
I've seen Free Willy a lot. Big Free Willy guy. So I've seen that one too many times. Love Free Willy. And another movie that's a bit more current is Dark Knight. I watch that all the time. I love Heath Ledger's performance in that. I've seen that so many times is Dark Knight with Heath Ledger in there.
We could talk about that for a very long time. When did you realize that you wanted to act? Was it a performance that you saw? Was it something on TV? Do you remember what the spark was?
Yeah, I mean, the spark, it's funny because when I was young, I was always performing, but I didn't understand exactly that I could turn that into a profession. I think when I first saw myself on TV and I said, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that. Like, that's something that I want to do. I grew up in the Disney era when Disney was really hot. So the famous Jet Jackson with Lee Thompson Young, the late Lee Thompson Young. That was a moment where I said, I want to do that. And then I was a big fan of The Raven Show and all that. I love sketch comedy. So those are the shows during my younger years that got me really excited on the television front. I went to theater, and theater got me going. That the production that I loved in theater was Fiddler on the Roof. After seeing Fiddler on the Roof and Music Man, it made me say, I can do this for real, and really wanted to take this craft seriously. So on the stage would be Fiddler on the Roof and Music Man, and then television was the famous Jet Jackson, All That, and That's So Raven. And I'm giving 3 of them, but they're all kind of tied,
No, completely. Do you feel at this point in your career that you have made it as an actor, that you can do this and this is how you're going to earn your living? Or do you still get nervous after every role? Am I going to book the next thing?
I don't know if I've made it. That's so subjective, because I feel like some people feel like they're just, I know a couple of homies who are really popping, are just nah, I'm just a regular guy. But for me, I think I'm still, trucking away. I'm still hustling. I don't really worry about the next paycheck, to be honest, Stephen, because I do have other business ventures. So acting is something I love, and it's something that I do. But I don't lose sleep over it. If I don't work for the next year or two, hopefully I do, knock on wood, I'm really losing sleep. I got other things going on in my life that I'll be financially secure.
Completely. I actually think I'm going to address some of that stuff later on as we talk. Is there anything that you collect?
Anything that I collect? I collect photos. That's a good question because a lot of people know this, but I'm a photographer. I shoot 35 mil. I shoot everything on film, all manually. I've been shooting film for years. I don't post anything, but I collect all the photos that I've shot over the years on sets and all the locations that I've been on. So specific to some of the movies that I've done, I have a lot of portraits of a lot of A-list celebrities in candid moments that I collect and I frame and I put them in my house, in my office, and I have like a little book just to kind of immortalize some of those memories that I've stacked up over time. But photos, I'm a big photo like buff, even Jeff Bridges and the work that he's doing. I love film and I love photography. And so I've been doing that for a number of years. I have a ton of cameras. And I shoot, let's just secretly let people know I don't use it for Instagram or anything like that. And maybe I'll do a gallery one day. I'll probably over like 1,000 photos, Stephen, of like everyone that I've worked with, every red carpet I've been on. I just have a little pocket rocket that I have, which is a quick shooter that I shoot real quick. And then I have my manual Minolta that I shoot on 35 mil, 135 mil. And so I just kind of do that. But yeah, film, love film, man. Shoot a lot of photography.
I'm curious, what is that like? At what point when you're on a set, let's say City of Lies, for example, at what point when you're on a set like that, do you feel comfortable enough to take out the camera? Do you feel like you need to wait a few days? Or on day one, are you like, fuck it, I'm going to take some pictures?
No, I can definitely read the room, Stephen. So I'm definitely aware of the environment that I'm in. But I also try to infuse it with the character somehow. So every character that I play, I try to infuse the fact that, he has a passion or he has an interest of the craft. So, I always, when I build the worlds that I'm creating and that I'm playing in, I always try to build extensive backstories that I can infuse some of my own personal attributes that kind of give the character that life and that pop. So I usually come in with my camera, I establish it, I say, hey guys, I do this, are you cool, are you not cool? 100% of the time, the actors are cool with me shooting and the rest of the team and crew. And then when they call cut, before I get to set, I usually shoot. When I'm not working, I'll come on set and shoot. With an intense scene, I usually don't do that. But it's usually in the pockets in which I have a bit of free time is when I do it. A lot of dinners I'll do it at, after parties, like the rat parties, and any gap that we get. But people love getting their photos taken, believe it or not, even in character and stuff. They like to as long as you're and I'm kind of just not sneaking around, but I'm very, just secretive of how I do it. So it just feels like you're not posing for anything. It's just very candid.
I think I've actually, Jeff Bridges, through his publicist, whatever, I think I've gotten a book or two of his photos, and they're very, very cool. And I'm sure in decades from now, you'll look back and be very happy you did this.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have a book and you could say it's cool too, man. So I'll give you a book.
So this is a softball question about City of Lies, and it's definitely not difficult to answer. Who do you think killed Tupac?
Who do I think killed Tupac? I don't know. Actually, it's a genuine question. I do not know. I think there are theories. I think there are people. I don't know who killed Pop, man. I just don't know.
Yeah, I asked Brad that, and I mean, he had theories, but I think it's impossible. No one has come out. Jumping into City of Lies specifically, I'm sure when you were doing research to do this role and learning everything you could about Christopher Wallace and what really went on, what surprised you during the research process that you sort of maybe didn't know?
The obvious for me is how young he was. Like, he died when he was 24, 25. I think we forget how young this man was because he was so mature and he had built such a legacy in such a short period of time. Even though it's out there and that's public knowledge, that to me was like a reminder. I'm still young, right? I was a younger guy during those times. And, that was something that really stood out to me. The fact that this man was so young and he died so young, that is just still mind-boggling. But the thing that really got me intrigued was just how corrupt, like literally how corrupt the system was during that time. Like how many police officers were involved in this operation, this operation to try to take him out. It was just, that was very surprising to see that, the men and women that are paid and put in positions to serve and protect were there to take somebody down. A young dude, when you went down to its core, it was a young dude who was a rapper, and like, that's what it was to its core. And that to me was just very surprising, the corruption in my research, because of the role that I played was specific to the LAPD, David Mack. And so the corruption was very, very, very surprising to me.
To me, it's really shocking that it really still hasn't come out how many people on the LAPD were working at death row, and the intertwined nature of these two organizations. And the film tries to shine a light on what was going on.
I agree. And that's why I think this film is it's one of the best, renditions of the story, because it's the intrinsic value of just showing you, the facts of, this is what the LAPD was like. These are the people that were involved, and this is what happened. And I think this is a lens that we've never seen before, highlighting this story, and why, for me personally, it got me excited to really immerse myself not only into the film, but reading the book Labyrinth, which I have a lot of funny stories about my getting this role and with Brad and that book and whatever else.
Oh no, you should definitely share. For sure.
No, so listen, I'll start with this. So when I got the script, full disclosure, honesty, when I got the script, I was in a different place as an actor. So when you're coming up, you just kind of take what comes, right? So I'm sorry, whatever. So I put this thing on tape, right? I obviously immersed myself in my thing. I wish I'd done the research, realizing this was a Johnny Depp film after I'd submit my audition. And I said, damn, man, I wish I did more research. Nonetheless, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, I got a call saying that Brad Furman wanted to meet me. He then flew me to Los Angeles. I waited in the waiting room for about 2 hours. Brad kept me waiting, right? Actually, I think it was all a part of his psychological plan. I go into this space. I'm starting to do my audition. He stops me halfway through. He looks around his producers and casting directors, and he goes, everybody get out. He kicked everybody out the room. I was like, everybody get out the room. I just want to be here with Shamier alone. That's it. So he sits down with me, and he looks at me, and he goes, sure you can handle this? I'm like, what do you mean, can I handle it? No joke. Like, this is what he said to me. Can you handle this? I'm like, yeah, I can handle it. He's like, if I hire you, can you go toe to toe with like Johnny and Forrest and these guys? Right? I'm like, I can do this. Trust me, I can do this. If you hire me, Brad, you'll never regret it. He said, all right. And he's like, you can get out of here. I didn't get the call for like a month. I'm like, I didn't get the job, whatever. And then I got a job. I got the job. And at the time when he called me, I had a booking. So I had a conflict. And Brad found out that I had a conflict. So there was a chance that he probably was going to lose me for this role. I'll never forget getting this calls in Calgary, in the mall. I don't know why I was in Calgary, don't ask. Brad calls me and goes, yo, if you don't fix this problem, it was, I think, a mustache. He needed me to have a mustache, and I was filming something else. I couldn't have the mustache. My manager, Daniel Abrams, was trying to work it out. We call it the mustache gate. He's like, I'm firing you, and I'm replacing you ASAP. I was so scared as a young actor, thinking that, oh my goodness, I'm about to lose the biggest opportunity of my life. Nonetheless, long story long, everything worked out. I was able to go to set. And I remember in pre-production, I got a knock on my trailer and they said, hello, Mr. Depp and Mr. Furman would like to meet you. I said, oh my gosh, I'm about to meet Johnny Depp. This is insane. So I make my way to Johnny Depp's trailer. Brad comes out. Brad goes, yo, Johnny, this is the kid I was talking to you about from Canada. You got to come meet him. And Johnny Depp comes out the trailer, smoking his whatever he's smoking, and he goes, hey, Shamier, man, it's so good to meet you. Welcome to the family. I gave me a big hug. And I promise you, Stephen, in that moment, I had butterflies. I was blushing, and I do blush because I'm Black, but I do blush. And I had a big moment, and it was amazing. And then the rest was history, man.
That's a great story, and thank you for sharing. That's great. Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like, especially listen, Johnny's a very talented actor, and I can't imagine what it's like, meeting him like that, knowing you're going to share a scene.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was a dream come true. And to that end, I was super scared. And because I was so scared to the character process, I spent 2 months in Compton, prior to filming. I spent time with a lot of Bloods, a lot of real gangsters. I shaved my head for the role. I did a lot of research. I was so immersed in it that I actually, when these guys were asking me where I was from, I was telling them I was a Fruitown Paré. Like I was giving street signs, I was throwing up the signs. I was telling them that I was from there because I tried it once with the guy. Like, where you from? I said, Canada. He's like, you're from where? They don't got gangsters in Canada. Come, what's up, man? I was like, oh shit, I can't be saying that to people no more. So I locked in completely. And I have friends from that movie till this day. Brad was so gracious and put all the guys that I worked with, 20 Bloods from Compton, all in the movie. He put them all in the movie and gave them jobs, gave them SAG permits, like just to give them opportunity. So this movie was inclusive on every level. And, I'm indebted to Brad for life.
Jumping into something else, you're doing, I'm curious about this. You have some sort of venture fund with your brothers tell me about this. I was researching it last night. Explain what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, thank you. No, so in Canada, we have the largest venture fund for BIPOC entrepreneurs, making us the youngest venture capitalist, Black venture capitalist in the country. And so our youngest brother, Sheldon, who is the mastermind behind all of it, realized that, outside of having a position in the business and changing lives through the arts, we have to understand financial literacy, economic empowerment, and generational wealth in our community. And through this, we said, this is interesting, Sheldon. He wanted to launch the Bay Mills Investment Group, and our first fund is the Bay Mills Diversity Fund, which is a fund focused on putting capital into BIPOC-led businesses to help scale in the emerging market of Canada, and then bringing a return to our shareholders. And in short, what that means is, we invest in companies that, need capital, help build their businesses, and then we all win on every side. And it's $100 million fund. And to give kind of in its simplistic terms, kind of like Shark Tank. Sheldon is a financial savvy guy. Sheldon's very smart. We have a great team of advisors and board of directors. And it's funny, a lot of people in Hollywood are actually playing in this arena. From the Will Smiths of the world to Ashton Kutcher, who's very known. He has Sound Ventures with Guy Oseary. It's A-Rod's doing it. And it's about having a team of people. It's not a matter of like, oh, I'm going to wake up and do this tomorrow. You really have to have a passion and astute awareness to this arena, which I do have and which I love. And before acting, I actually was going to go to school for criminology and minored in political science. And then I went into acting. We don't know why and how, but and so through that, we were just really excited, man. And Forbes has done a really great thing on us. And we're about to close our $100 million fund, which we're really excited about.
First, I'm just going to say congrats on making that happen, because that is really hard to do and amazing. I am very curious. You're producing and you came up with this idea for Super High. And I definitely want to know more about this because you got Andy Samberg, who I love. So tell people what this film is.
Yeah, Super High is about three homies that get superpowers after smoking some weed that has some magical shit in it. To put it as simply as that. It's a story that I came up with many moons ago. I actually pitched it to my brother, Stephon James, who's also an actor. And I said, what do you think about this, man? I got this idea and I put together a whole treatment and everything. And he looked at me like, you're crazy, but you're onto something. I was so onto something that I was able to sell this story to New Line. I was able to get Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island crew to come on and be my co-executive producers and be a part of it. And so now we have this major feature film with Andy at the helm, Craig Robinson, and Common, and it's called Super High, which I'm excited about. And we're currently in script, currently putting the script together. I'm on Zooms with those guys. They're hilarious. I've met Andy multiple times. Everybody loves Andy, and so we're working knee deep in building out this story. And it's just crazy to say that and think that I thought this thing, and now it's becoming this big motion picture at New Line that I put together, which is really exciting, man.
I'm just curious, and I don't want you to reveal too much, but can you reveal some of the powers you get when you smoke weed in the film?
You can fly. You can fly. And some of the superpowers are like funny. Like some of them are like, you're invisible for like 20 minutes and then you're not invisible anymore. Like just stupid shit. You know what I mean? Or like some of the, just like every time you scream, you sound like a giraffe or something. Like just crazy shit. Like think about it, like really expanding and really pushing the envelope. It's definitely a comedy. And when you work with guys like Samberg, the sky is not the limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it one of those things with the weed that every time you smoke, it's the same power, or each time you smoke, it can be something different?
Every time you smoke, it's always something different. And that's what makes it so interesting.
Right. I can understand. Yeah. Yeah. This is right up the Lonely Island's alley as well. Do you envision, is the hope to try to be filming this later this year or next year, or you still have to lock the script?
We still got to lock the script in. I'm currently doing that. So this year would probably be super ambitious, but definitely by next year, is definitely the goal to do this.
You have besides Stowaway, you have another Netflix project, Awake. And I'm curious about that. I don't know too much about it. What can you say?
Awake is a film. I'm not sure what's on the internet right now, but I could tell you that I'm starring in it with Gina Rodriguez. And essentially Awake, from what I understand the logline says, is it's about a world in which people can't sleep and everyone's awake. And you go on this adventure of trying to find the cure for that. We filmed that in Toronto last summer. I met Gina on that project, who's incredible. And it's another Netflix, under the Netflix umbrella. And I play a very different character. And yeah, man, it's a cool little story. So we'll see what happens with that and when it comes out.
Yeah, I was going to say you have a few things with Netflix right now, which is nice.
Yes, and I do have another one called Bruised with Halle Berry, which is her directorial debut, where she plays an MMA fighter making a comeback. And that one premiered at TIFF last year. During the pandemic, so unfortunately none of the cast was there, but I was able to FaceTime Halle Berry and show her to the entire audience, which was really cool. But I'm excited to be a part of that film. That was a lot of fun, working with Halle Berry in her directorial debut and spending a lot of time with her. Super sweet, super genuine, and a real athlete of a woman. Like that woman, like killer, like doing stuff I couldn't do.
I know that what she did in John Wick 3 was her. She trained for a long time. If you don't know, you should find out all the stuff she did to work with the dogs, because she was the trainer on set with the dogs. It's like a whole thing that I learned what she did. It was amazing.
Oh, she's a titan. Like she's a titan, like Steven. Like she'll outrun you and I. She'll put both of us in guillotines at the same time and make us tap out without question. Halle Berry will make us tap out.
Right. I can't even imagine for you, because obviously you grew up watching her. That must have been one of those shoots where you're filming that literally every friend you have is like, can I visit you on set today?
Yes, it was not only do they want to visit me on set, like Halle is like such a human. And I mean that because people on the outside are like, okay, iconic, legendary. They put her in this like esoteric space. But when she texts me all the time, I still get a little bit like, I'm like, oh man, Halle Berry texting me right now. This is crazy. My managers and agents are still like, all the dudes are like, hey man, talking to Halle. But Halle is super, super dope. But yes, I still blush every time Halle calls my phone. Every time, without question.
I can only imagine. My last thing for you, as I said, because we're about out of time, I think it's really cool what you're doing with this Black Academy in Canada, trying to take on systemic racism.
Yeah.
And so can you talk a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish with that?
Yeah, thank you, man. So unlike the venture fund, which is very financial focused in the financial sector, our Black Academy is arts focused. This is something that Stefan and I are passionate about. We founded Black, which is an acronym for Building a Legacy in Acting, Cinema, and Knowledge, 6 years ago. And it was a party during the Toronto International Film Festival. 6 years later, we're now an official not-for-profit where we have programs. We have mentored the next emerging talent out of Canada who are Black and BIPOC. And the Black Academy we formed this year. And in tandem with the Black Academy, we're launching the first ever Black award show telecast in the country, similar to the Grammys or NAACP awards or the Oscars. We founded this award show that's going to be honoring, celebrating, and lifting Black talent, who are Canadian. It's very rare that you're able to see Black Canadians in the spaces, in this business at the highest level, similar to Denzel Washington of the world and, the Viola Davis. And so we wanted to do that at home. And we believe that if you can see it, you can believe it. And this is why we started the Black Academy, which we're so excited about. And it's been getting a lot of traction. And in 2022 is when the award show is going to launch.
Amazing. Congratulations. I feel like after talking to you, that even though I work really hard, I feel like I'm very lazy, because you managed to accomplish so much in a short period of time. I guess my last thing for you is, do you sleep? What?
Yeah, man, I do sleep. It's a lot of scheduling and a lot of I'm very structured in my life, and so I do sleep. I do sleep is very important. So that's a good question, but I do sleep. Yes, I do. I also don't drink and also don't party, but I do sleep, and so I think it kind of balances it out.
Yes, I will say that I'm glad you don't drink, but I do enjoy red wine. Red wine is quite good.
Nothing's wrong with drinking. You know what I mean? Nothing's wrong with drinking. And I will say I do dabble when like we're celebrating something cool for sure. But I'm such a sucker. I'm a lightweight. So if I get drunk, I'm passing out. I'm like a pass out drunk. As soon as I take like a shot, I'm like on the bed sleeping like a baby. So that's the only reason why I don't drink, because it takes away from my work productivity.
Sure. You have to go, but I totally, yeah, I'm not one of those people, or even when the pandemic wasn't on. You can waste a lot of time just going out and celebrating.
Yeah. Yeah. But all good, man. You got it's a balance, you know what I'm saying? So no, it's cool. I do sleep and I do have a great team that helps me, do what I need to do. So I'm grateful. It's a good balance. I got a good balance, man.
On that note, I think you have something else at 9:30. So I'm going to leave you be and say, great talking with you again, and wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate you, Stephen. Good talking to you too.